Boiling tensions. Iran strikes US bases in revenge for escalating Middle East conflict. In a dramatic intensification of long-burning tensions, Iran launched missiles at US Middle Eastern bases, striking installations in Iraq and Qatar directly. It's one of the most overt confrontations between Iran and the United States in years, and just days after coordinated US and Israeli bombing raids on several Iranian nuclear sites. The crisis began with the surprise American air attack on Iran's nuclear facilities last week, striking primary installations in Natanz, Fordo, and Isfahan. The raids, reportedly supported by Israeli intelligence and airborne assistance, struck at Iran's supposed nuclear weapons development efforts. While the US categorized the action as a preemptive, defensive one, Iran understood it to be a clear act of war and threatened reprisal. Iran's retaliation, attacking US assets. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, struck back by launching a barrage of ballistic missiles at US installations in Iraq and Qatar, two facilities housing important American military personnel and assets. To date, there have been no confirmed American casualties, partly due to early warning systems and missile defense barriers. But the signal from Tehran is clear. Iran will fight directly, as well as through proxies. Iran called the missile attacks a measured response, but warned of further retaliation should further attacks on its territory occur. Israel's role: aggressive defense or provocation? Israel, which has long worried about Iran's nuclear ambitions, has acted increasingly aggressively in recent months. Besides assisting the US with intelligence, Israeli warplanes have conducted solo raids on Iranian military installations, supply lines, and even such symbolic targets as Evin Prison. Inside Israel, support from the government for the strikes is resolute, particularly following an outburst of Iranian drones and rockets that deepened deep into Israeli territory. Yet the warning from experts is that Israel's actions could lead to a greater regional war, especially if Hezbollah or other Iranian surrogates open new fronts from Lebanon or Syria. A region on edge, proxy fires everywhere. Even before these recent attacks, the Middle East was already abuzz with low-grade wars. Recently, Iran-backed militias in Iraq, Syria, and Yemen have launched dozens of rocket and drone strikes against US and allied forces. The Red Sea shipping lane has been repeatedly attacked, threatening global trade. The Strait of Hormuz, which a fifth of global oil shipments travel through, is now being threatened with closure by Iran, a move that could send oil prices globally skyrocketing. In one sense, all of these direct Iranian-US strikes are just a new, dangerous chapter in what has been a long, decades-long covert war. The bigger picture: power, prestige, and politics. This is not solely about missiles and bases. It's about influence in the neighborhood and on the world stage. Iran seeks to demonstrate power domestically, mobilize its allies, and deter future aggression. It's also using this opportunity to push back against decades of sanctions and isolation. The United States, under increasing domestic and international pressure, is trying to project dominance without getting enmeshed for years to come. Israel, with existential concerns over a nuclear Iran, is bent on taking the battle to its enemies, even into regional war. In the shadows, great powers like Russia, China, and the Gulf states are watching events with intense interest. Some are backing Iran diplomatically. Others fear that the entire region will become mired in anarchy. What's next? As much as there is violence, both Iran and America have stated that they don't want full-scale war. This Iranian missile attack was measured, one that was meant to establish force without overstepping its bounds. Likewise, the US is reported to be standing back from further instant military actions. But the stance is extremely tenuous. A single error, a rogue missile, a miscalculation on the radar screen, and runaway militia might touch off a chain reaction far bigger than any single leader ever intended. Back channels for negotiations remain open, with Qatar, Oman, and Turkey all involved behind the scenes in trying to de-escalate. The United Nations Security Council has called an emergency session, but deep divisions among world powers make concerted action unlikely. The Middle East remains trapped in a cycle of violence fueled by historic grudges, strategic ambitions, and global rivalries. What makes it most dangerous today is the number of direct lines of fire today, not just through proxies, but between capitals. This isn't Iran versus the US or Israel. It's a local war playing out on an international chessboard, with millions of lives in the balance. The next step will be decisive. Let's pray it's one towards restraint, not destruction.